pounds then. He was that when he went in the Navy. He weighed that when he came out. He weighed that most of his life. As for me, after I got married, I gained a pound a year. Bob said once, we roomed together a year before we went active duty in the Navy. He said once, the reason you and I got along is you could stay with me. What I'm talking about is how roughhouse boys do. I'm surprised we didn't wreck our apartment, but we didn't. About his conversion, that's God's work. I never saved anybody in my life, though I've been a pastor of 6 congregations. The longer I reflect as a pastor, that's God's work. And what he does, he has us witness or proclaim the gospel or say who Jesus Christ is. And so God does his work behind our back. As I've reflected on my time as a pastor, I keep my appointments. And while I'm going to the next one, God's doing the job behind my back. We have to trust that as pastors. And the older I get, the less I want to take credit for anything. God is sovereign. God is also great in his providence, which is his continuing creation. God caused Bob and I to meet. I don't remember when we first met. We did room together before we went in the Navy. In November '42, he saw in the paper that they were closing the Navy Reserve, and he and I felt we should go to Des Moines and enlist, which we did. We were mobilized on July 1st, 1943. We were sent to Dartmouth. We went on train to Canada, across Canada, went through Niagara Falls, and came down to Dartmouth, Hanover, New Hampshire. He and I canoed on the Iowa River with muddy banks in Iowa City. In Connecticut, on the Connecticut River, we canoed in a river that had rock banks. We were there a beautiful time of year, July to October. At that point, after 4 months there, I went to Columbia to midshipman school. He went to Northwestern. He went into amphibians, and I ended up in submarines. We didn't have that much contact after, but Bob graduated from Iowa with highest distinction. Summa cum laude, that's the Latin for it. I'm trying to think of one other thing that might be important to him. Bob's parents worked in a defense plant during the war. Hometown in Jefferson, Iowa. He had promised them he'd take them on a 2-week fishing trip. Now, I hate fishing. I'm sorry. I put it into anything in fishing. I'm a bookaholic. I read, you know. And Bob, I went to Des Moines and saw Bob, and he kept trying to persuade me to go. This is that persistence. I kept saying no, and finally I went to the bus to get on to go to my hometown, Oskaloosa, 60 miles southeast of Des Moines. I finally said yes. So we went on that. But you know what he wanted? He wanted to talk about the faith. God had touched him in the Philippines. He was in dangerous country, let me tell you. Submarines are dangerous, yes, but not like he faced. One day he walked in a village that he thought had been cleared of the Japanese, and it hadn't been. He could have had his head blown off. God preserved that man. The most traveled man I ever knew, you know. He grew up reading Good's World Atlas. Any of you know that black cover? Good with an E. But he was destined for being a world traveler from early on. So we went fishing, but he kept pumping me about the Christian faith. We'd stop at a bookstore, we'd buy something. He bought a book that I didn't think was right, and so I threw it out the car window and reimbursed him for the book. God led me to go into the pastorate. I can't imagine having been anything else. Bob was called to be what's been described so well. He was given to the world. A great honor to have him as a friend. Always very proud of him.
Ken Lincoln, another longtime friend, and also part of InterVarsity Fellowship.
First, let me say I didn't expect to be on the program today, so my words will be brief. Yes, I got to meet Bob over the days. I think both of us started graduate school at Stanford at the same time, which was in the fall of '46. And at that time, or shortly afterwards, the InterVarsity chapter was initiated there, and it was a small, struggling group at the time. So we got to know each other in the activities in InterVarsity. And later, Bob went on staff at InterVarsity, and three of the students, not Bob, three other students, and I was one of them, graduate students, started about 1951, rented a professor's house, looking for housing, of course, and a professor, an emeritus professor at Stanford, had gone off on some assignment or opportunity. So anyway, he was out of town and he was able to rent the professor's house for a couple of years. Well, anyway, during this time, Bob was on staff at InterVarsity, and we keep coming back at times. So we had a chance to provide housing for him. So he was an old friend. We used to kid him about lots of things. Well, because of our interest in InterVarsity, Bob being there, we had students come in for Bible studies and this sort of thing. And, well, that led to unexpected problem. We got kicked off campus for having Bible studies at Stanford University. The ruling at that time was, this was the excuse that was used, they didn't allow any organized Christian groups on campus officially. So we weren't organized as that, but anyway, I think somebody wanted the housing we were in, so we got kicked off campus on another court. Well, anyway, we kept hosting Bob anytime we came back. We had other places to live. And then down through the ages, as we got older, well, let me backtrack. As I said, this wasn't Bob's fault. We got kicked off campus, but always something seemed to follow him. You know, he was a student in Argentina, and about the time he left, why there was this revolution and the Perot regime was overthrown. And as mentioned here, and just got out of Lebanon in time, then a big overthrow occurred. And I think something like that happened in South Africa also, after they left there. So, on one occasion I told Bob, please warn us when you're coming back to the Bay Area. I expect the NRA's fall black. But, so, I subsequently became chairman of the missions committee of the church, and on many occasions had the opportunity to introduce Bob. And it's my privilege to always introduce him as a world-class missionary statesman.